It's 2:17 p.m. on my wedding day, and I'm standing in front of 200 guests, watching my sister's face drain of color as the projection screen behind me lights up. The worst part wasn't the photoshopped images she'd been posting for 3 years, erasing me from every family photo like I never existed. It was what she'd told everyone about why I wasn't in them. And now, everyone was about to find out the truth. Let me back up 6 months. My sister Penelope, Penn to everyone who thinks she's perfect, is a lifestyle influencer with 847,000 followers. Everything in her life is curated, filtered, and, frankly, fake. But I didn't realize how fake until my roommate Kira showed me her Instagram at breakfast one Tuesday morning. "Is this your family?" Kira asked, turning her phone toward me. I leaned over my coffee. There was Mom, Dad, our brother Felix, and Penn at last Christmas. The photo was taken in our living room. I recognized Dad's ridiculous Santa sweater. But here's the thing. I had been standing between Penn and Mom in that photo. I knew because I was wearing the green dress Aunt Ruth gave me, and Mom had joked we looked like Christmas trees together. In Penn's version, I was gone. Photoshopped out so seamlessly you'd never know there was a gap. "That's weird," I said, my throat tightening. Kira scrolled. "Babe, it's not just one photo." She was right. Thanksgiving, gone. Mom's birthday dinner, erased. The family vacation to Cape Cod last summer. Every single photo I'd been removed. 37 posts over 3 years. I counted them twice, my hands shaking so hard I almost dropped Kira's phone. I called Penn that night. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. "Hey, just saw your Instagram. Interesting editing choices." Penn laughed, that perfect, practiced influencer laugh. "Oh, you know how it is. Some photos just work better with certain compositions. Nothing personal." "Nothing personal? Penn, you edited me out of our family." "Don't be so dramatic, Fiona. Not everything is about you. I have a brand to maintain. My followers expect a certain aesthetic." "What aesthetic requires erasing your sister?" The line went silent for exactly 4 seconds. Then, "I need to go. I have a sponsored post to edit." She hung up. That weekend, I drove to our parents' house. Mom was in the garden, her hands deep in soil, the way she always gets when she's stressed. "Did you know Penn's been photoshopping me out of family photos?" I asked. Mom's hands stilled. She didn't look up. "Honey, Penn has her reasons." The earth seemed to tilt beneath my feet. "Her reasons? Mom, what does that even mean?" Dad appeared from the garage. "Your sister has been going through a difficult time. Her engagement fell apart, and she's been processing." "By erasing me from existence?" "She told us you two had a falling out," Dad said carefully. "That you said some hurtful things about her career, about her not having a real job." My stomach dropped. "I never said that. Dad, I never—" "Fiona, we don't want to take sides," Mom interrupted. "But Penn was very upset. Maybe give her some space." I sat in my car for 20 minutes before I could drive. My own parents believed her lies. But what lies exactly? What had Penn told them? That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I logged into Penn's laptop. We'd always shared passwords growing up. She'd never changed hers. Rose Petal 2000. Same as always. Her DMs told the story she'd been crafting. Messages to other influencers. "My sister is so jealous of my success, she's trying to sabotage my partnerships." Comments to brands. "I'm dealing with family drama. Toxic siblings trying to bring me down." But it was her private notes app that destroyed me. A document titled "Story Consistency" with bullet points. Fiona made fun of influencing career at Christmas. Never happened. Fiona called me shallow at Mom's birthday. I complimented her dress. Fiona refused to come to family events. She never invited me. Fiona is bitter about my engagement. I helped her pick the ring. She'd constructed an entire narrative. And then I found the file. Photos before editing. Every original photo with me in it before she erased me. My phone rang. It was Felix, our brother. "Penn's getting weird," he said without preamble. "She asked me to stop mentioning you in family group chats. Said it triggers her because of your behavior." "Felix, she's been lying. About everything." I heard him exhale. "I had a feeling. At Dad's birthday last month, she told this story about you insulting her at a restaurant. But Fee, you weren't even in town that weekend. I know because we talked about you missing it." "She's been photoshopping me out of photos, telling everyone we had some huge fight that never happened." Jesus, why? That was the question that kept me up for the next 72 hours. Why would Penn systematically erase me? We'd always been close, or so I thought. She was at my college graduation. I helped her move into 3 different apartments. We had Friday night phone calls that lasted hours. Then Kira found it. Penn's ex-fiancé Garrett had broken up with her right after a family dinner. The one where he'd spent most of the evening talking to me about marine biology. His passion, my master's degree. Nothing flirtatious, just enthusiastic conversation about something we both loved. In Penn's mind, I'd stolen the attention that should have been on her. And when Garrett ended things 2 weeks later, because as I later learned, he'd discovered she'd been faking entire parts of her personality for Instagram, she blamed me. I confronted Penn at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. I brought my laptop with screenshots. "I want to understand why you've been lying about me," I said, keeping my voice level. Penn stirred her oat milk latte. "I don't know what you're talking about." "I have the photos, Penn. The originals before you edited me out. I have your notes document. The whole constructed story." Her spoon clinked against the ceramic. For the first time in years, I saw something real flash across her face. Panic. "You went through my computer? You erased me from our family history. We're past privacy concerns." Penn leaned back, and just like that, the mask slipped back on. "Okay, you want the truth? You were making my content perform worse. My engagement dropped 17% in photos with you. My followers complained you were off-brand. I couldn't afford to keep including you. The cafe noise faded to white noise. So you decided to make me the villain instead? I gave you a storyline that made sense. Jealous sister, family conflict. People eat that up. It actually helped my engagement. Penn, you turned our parents against me." She shrugged. "They believe what they want to believe. Not my fault you couldn't defend yourself better." I walked out with my coffee untouched. But here's what Penn didn't know. I'd recorded everything. New York is a one-party consent state. That night, Felix called. Penn just told Mom you attacked her at a coffee shop, screamed at her in public. I didn't raise my voice once, but Felix, I need your help. Over the next 3 weeks, my brother became my secret ally. He started documenting Penn's lies in real time. When she told our parents I'd sent her hateful messages, Felix checked my phone records. No messages sent. When she claimed I'd made a scene at her friend's party, Felix confirmed I wasn't even invited and had been at a conference in Boston. Meanwhile, my wedding planning was in full swing. My fiancé Rowan had watched this unfold with increasing fury. "Please tell me we're not inviting her," Rowan said. I smiled. I'd been planning something, and it required Penn to be there. "Oh, we're absolutely inviting her." The morning of my wedding, Penn posted an Instagram story. "Getting ready for my sister's special day. So happy we worked through our issues. Hashtag family first. Hashtag sister love." In the photo, she was holding a bridesmaid dress. The problem? I hadn't asked her to be a bridesmaid. I'd barely invited her at all, only a guest invitation, sent to keep Mom from asking questions. She showed up in the dress anyway, walked right into my bridal suite where my actual bridesmaids, Kira and my cousins Beverly and Stella, were helping me get ready. "Surprise!" Penn announced, phone already out for selfies. "I know we've had our ups and downs, but I couldn't miss being part of your day." Beverly's jaw dropped. Stella looked at me with wide eyes, but I just smiled. "That's so thoughtful, Penn. Actually, I have a special role for you in the ceremony." Her face lit up. "Really?" "Really. You'll see." The ceremony was beautiful. Rowan cried when I walked down the aisle. Dad's hand was steady on my arm. He hadn't picked up on the tension yet. Mom dabbed her eyes with a tissue. Penn sat in the third row, phone out, already filming content. After we exchanged vows and before the pronouncement, Rowan and I stepped aside. The officiant smiled at our guests. "The couple has asked to share something with you all before we conclude." A projection screen lowered behind the altar. I'd practiced this moment in my head hundreds of times, but my heart still hammered against my ribs. "Before we celebrate our marriage," I began, "I want to talk about family, about truth, about what happens when someone systematically rewrites history." The screen lit up. Side-by-side images, original family photos next to Penn's edited versions. Christmas dinner, me, present, then gone. Cape Cod vacation, me, laughing with Felix, then erased. Mom's birthday, my arm around her shoulders, then empty space. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Penn's face went from confused to pale to crimson in seconds. My sister Penelope has spent 3 years photoshopping me out of our family, but it wasn't just photos. The next slide? Screenshots of her DMs, her lies to other influencers, her notes document planning the exact narrative. Then the audio from the coffee shop played, her admission that I was off-brand, that she'd created the jealous sister storyline for engagement. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad stood up, then sat down heavily. Felix, sitting next to them, put his hand on Dad's shoulder. Penn ran. Actually ran, difficult in heels, straight out of the ceremony. Her phone clattered to the floor in her rush. Kira picked it up. It was open to Instagram, a draft post. "So beautiful to stand by my sister's side today as her maid of honor. Hashtag sister goals." 3 of Penn's influencer friends left with her, but 197 guests stayed. Mom came to me immediately, tears streaming. "Fiona, I'm so sorry. We should have listened. We should have—" "Mom," I took her hands. "She manipulated all of us." Dad hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "My girl, I'm so sorry." The reception went on. Honestly, it was better than I imagined. People kept coming up to me, apologizing for believing Penn's version, sharing their own stories of being photoshopped or edited out of someone's life. But the best moment came at 9:43 p.m. I was dancing with Rowan when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Garrett, Penn's ex. Just saw what happened. My cousin was at your wedding. I'm sorry you went through that. For what it's worth, she did the same thing to me. Erased all the parts of herself that didn't fit her brand. Then couldn't understand why I left. You deserved better. Congrats on the marriage." I showed Rowan. We laughed until we cried. The next morning, Penn's Instagram was gone, completely deleted. I found out later that 17 brands dropped her within 24 hours. Screenshots of the wedding had gone viral. Turns out, publicly exposing yourself as someone who photoshops family members out of existence and lies about them is bad for sponsorships. Who knew? But here's the thing. I didn't post anything about it. Other guests did. My wedding #, Rowan and Fiona Forever, became attached to #, Photoshop Sister, and #, Influencer Exposed. Penn's carefully constructed brand imploded, not because of me, but because the truth finally had more reach than her fiction. Mom called that afternoon. "Penn's here. She's devastated. She wants to talk to you." "I'm on my honeymoon, Mom." "I know, but Mom, I love you, but I spent 3 years being erased. Penn can spend a few weeks sitting with the consequences." There was a long pause. Then, "You're right. I'm proud of you, Fiona." 6 months later, Penn and I met for coffee. Real coffee, not a performance. She looked different. No ring light, no perfect outfit, no phone out. "I've been in therapy," she said. "Twice a week. Turns out I tied my entire self-worth to numbers on a screen. And when those numbers started dropping, I blamed you instead of looking at myself." "Why me specifically?" "Because you were real. You had actual accomplishments. Your master's, your research job, Rowan, and I had content. When Garrett connected with you over something real, something I couldn't fake, it broke me. Instead of recognizing I'd built my whole life on performance, I made you the enemy." I stirred my coffee. "You turned our parents against me, Penn." "I know." Her voice cracked. "I know, and I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I understand what I did." The therapist calls it narrative control, when you rewrite reality so obsessively that you start believing your own lies. We sat in silence. Outside, people hurried past with their own dramas, their own stories. "I'm not ready to have you back in my life," I finally said. "Maybe someday, but not now." Penn nodded. "I understand." For what it's worth, I showed Mom and Dad the originals, all the real photos, before I edited them. They have them printed now. You're back in the albums. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed. A text from Felix. "Proud of you, Fee. Dinner this weekend? Just us?" I smiled and typed back. "Absolutely." Because here's what I learned. You can't control other people's narratives. Penn spent years crafting a perfect story where I was the villain. But the truth? The truth is patient. It waits. And eventually, it finds its way into the light. Sometimes at 2:17 p.m. on a wedding day in front of 200 witnesses. I don't know if Penn will ever fully understand the damage she did. But I know this. I'm done being edited out of my own life. I'm done being the empty space in someone else's perfect picture. I'm the author of my story now. And in this version, I'm right where I belong. Visible, present, and finally free.